we're all doing today. And Russia's position, as far as I understood from the previous statements, is very much aligned with what our colleagues have said. Last year, because of the deep crisis caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, many countries, including G20 nations, made decisions to increase budget deficits, which allowed to start the revitalization of the global economy. But those extraordinary measures, such as buying securities, should be limited in time, something that was addressed moments ago. In Russia in 2020, made massive measures to support the population and businesses, as well as the healthcare. Budget deficits increased to 4%, which allowed us to restore the job market. Last year, we were able to restart our economy and decrease the deficit. Overall, in G20 countries, the situation is different. In 2017 to 2019, budget deficits were 3.8% on average. In 2020, it rose to 11.1% on average. In 2021, it remains relatively high, 8.7%. And 40% of that deficit of the budget of all G20 countries over 2020 and 2021 it's the US accounts for that, for those 40%. We understand very well what's happening in the US, and we understand that the global economy very much depends on what's happening in the US. This resulted in economic instability, in growth of prices for certain commodities, for energy, for food. Let me say once again that the cause of that is serious budget deficits in leading global economies. This creates a risk for high global inflation in the medium term. This could result in further risks for entrepreneurs, and this also leads to further inequality. So we should prevent this from spiraling down and normalize fiscal and monetary policies. The quality of demand should be prioritized. We should address, of course, the problems of inequality and well-being of citizens. We have always welcomed G20's efforts to support the poorest nations. Without addressing those issues, sustainable development of the global economy and stable development is impossible. By the way, even developed countries face the problem of inequality, including G20 nations. Fiscal policies and other economic policies are used to address those issues. Despite the decisions by G20 nations, the access to vaccines and other important healthcare is not available to everyone, to all nations, and this is in part because of protectionism, because of inability and unwillingness by some countries to recognize and register vaccines. The World Health Organization should expedite the process of registering and assessing various vaccines and other treatments. As soon as this is done, we will be able to restore and restart the economy, including the tourism sector. And we would like the G20 to address the problem of mutual recognition of vaccine certificates. Experts believe that COVID-19 will be a danger to us all for quite some time. And considering that the virus continues to mutate, we should develop mechanisms for a systemic renewal or updating of vaccines. Let me remind you that Russia was the first country to register a vaccine against COVID-19. It was called Sputnik V. As of today, it is registered in 70 countries, and it is a safe and effective vaccine. We also have a one-dose Sputnik Light vaccine, which could be used to boost the efficiency of other vaccines. We have talked to our partners and suggested that they could import it as well. The fight against the pandemic requires us to improve healthcare services across all sectors, across all countries, and improve cooperation to address those issues. And considering all that, the role of the World Health Organization is becoming more and more critical. Its activities require global support. It is unacceptable to make steps that would hinder the work of the World Health Organization, and I agree with President Macron on that. In addition to that, crisis events and in energy markets show how critical for the modern world is the stable and sustainable work of the energy sector. Let me say a few words about that. Providing energy to the populations is very important. The sustainability and stability of energy markets is directly linked to the work and the efforts of all global leaders. And Russia supports discussing all of these energy topics in a pragmatic way, guided by economic understanding. Colleagues, to restart and help our economy recover, we should make it possible for all nations to have equitable communication and cooperation. And this is the goal, this is the target of the G20. Thank you for your attention.